it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
Manic Monday, everybody. Good evening and welcome to ZiFM Sport. In the studio today, should I say online, from the comfort of our homes, hopefully to the comfort of your homes, your car, wherever you are. It's Mike Madoda, Christine Midzi, Barry Manandi, Alois Munchira, and our producer, Sean Tafirenyika. Not much happening locally, but there's been plenty that's been happening internationally, and we'll keep you right on the pulse of all those events, including that big transfer story out of Europe, Lionel Messi and his saga. Will he stay? Will he go? Where will he play? We'll give you an update on that. But we'll start on the home front, where amid the huge shadow being cast on the start of the 2020 season, the Premier Soccer League remain adamant that there will be action before the year ends, with Chief Executive Officer Kenny Ndebele suggesting the nation can draw lessons from neighbours South Africa and Zambia on the safe return of the game. In our international sports news update, England white ball captain Owen Morgan feels he's batting better than ever after another scintillating innings saw him lead his side to a 5-wicket win over Pakistan in the second T20 international of a 3-match series.
And around the world in 60, we begin with news from Belgrade, where Novak Djokovic put his off-court distractions to one side to win a record equaling 35th Masters title with victory over Milos Raonic at the Western and Southern Open. In Illinois, John Rahm holds a sensational 66-foot putt for birdie at the first playoff hole to snatch victory over Dustin Johnson in an engrossing conclusion to the BMW Championship. And in Florida, the LA Clippers advanced to the second round of the NBA playoffs after they eliminated the Dallas Mavericks, while the Denver Nuggets forced a Game 7 with victory over Utah Jazz early this morning.
Monday is the day for the Castle Lager World Football Report, and that's the second half of the show, where we kick off with the drama unfolding in South Africa as Kaizer Chiefs clung to first place in the Absa Premiership despite a heartbreaking loss after closest rivals Mamelodi Sundowns suffered a stunning defeat to Varoka. In England, Mikel Arteta claims his Arsenal side have no fear when playing against the Premier League's top teams after winning the Community Shield. In Spain, Lyon won a record-extending 7th Women's Champions League title after beating Wolfsburg 3-1 in the final. And in Italy, Juventus reportedly made a, quote, discreet approach to Jorge Messi, the father of Barcelona superstar Lionel Messi, to discuss the possibility of a blockbuster transfer that could link up Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo and send the entire footballing world into raptures. That update coming up in the second half of the show. So lots to look forward to on Manic Monday. But first, the power play. Here's Natasha Bedingfield. It's called Kick It.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
Don't forget, we like to keep it interactive. Follow and interact with @ZiFM Sport, or simply search for the individual team members on Twitter. We are there and we love our sport. Now let's get on the home front, where amid the huge shadow being cast on the start of the 2020 season, the Premier Soccer League remain adamant there will be action before the year ends, with Chief Executive Officer Kennedy Ndebele suggesting the nation can draw lessons from neighbours South Africa and Zambia on the safe return of the game. ZIFA had initially indicated that the delayed season would eventually get underway in September, with a fresh pre-season for clubs being tentatively penciled in for August. But that was before government reviewed the lockdown restrictions and introduced a curfew following a spike in the number of COVID-19 cases in the country. with the slim hope of local football returning this year increasingly evaporating with each passing day. Other neighboring leagues have worked closely with their governments to ensure a safe return for the game. It is against this background, though, that Ndebele feels the PSL and the Zimbabwe Football Association, ZiFA, cannot keep folding their arms anymore. It looks like there's something of an impasse, isn't there, Barry, between the Premier Soccer League and ZiFA, divergent positions as to when the game will return, if at all.
Yeah, if we're to be fair, the PSL has done what they could do, and they did so some time ago. I think the PSL Medical Committee came up with those recommendations to the mother body nigh on 4 months ago. Already, we were supposed to hear something out of the FA on the 8th of August. That was the date that was penciled in for a revert to the entire footballing family as to when football would return. That didn't happen. So you could probably say that these utterances by Kenny Ndebele are pointing to a bit of a cold war between the PSL and ZiFA and Zimbabwe, because it looks like the PSL is committed to seeing some action this year, but ZiFA seems to be dragging its feet. Indeed, in that statement that says we can't fold our arms, I think that's a sly dig at the actions or the posture of ZiFA that Kenny Ndebele can see, whereby they are waiting for government to make the decision and don't want to make a call within themselves. They need to come up with a plan.
Well, if you've been following local football, the little of it, or the stories that have been happening behind the scenes, the FIFA relief funds have been at the heart of it now. Kennedy Ndebele is quoted as saying, "We trust that with the availability of FIFA relief funds, we'll be able to meet the requirements to play football before the end of the year. It's important for us to resume training so that our local players are eligible for selection in the national team. And it is important to note that some foreign-based teams may not release players for national duty." So once again, Christine, we're hearing talk of that FIFA financial aid. And this time it's from the PSL. What is obvious, I think, from that quote of Kennedy Ndebele is that these funds have not been dispersed to Premier Soccer League teams, and that these are the funds that the Premier Soccer League are looking to be used to get the game back on track as far as testing and establishing health and safety protocols are concerned.
Definitely. And this is what's a little bit worrying at the moment, is that these funds are available. These funds were sent for a specific purpose to allow for bodies like ZiFA to be able to continue the game, even though we have restrictions and all of the permutations that come with COVID-19. Now, what's happening at the moment is we haven't heard a lot about the funds at the moment. The funds were being declared in local currency when they were not received in local currency. So it's a bit murky at the moment when you take a look at the situation. And Mr. Ndebele is absolutely right. We need a situation where everyone comes to the party and gets things going, because the funds are there. The funds are available in order to get the testing, to create the scenarios where football can return. And it's imperative that football returns, especially because the resources are clearly available and that they need to be dispersed.
Now we have Alois Bunjira on the show, our football pundit, former Warrior, former Caps United striker, former Mamelodi Sundowns striker as well, illustrious career. And obviously, Alois, you are keenly invested in our game here in Zimbabwe. I want to ask you this, Alois. We have also read about the Footballers Union of Zimbabwe under Desmond Maringwa, advocating and calling for, and we love this word in Zimbabwe, an indaba. For us to get together, get in a team huddle, discuss the return of the game. Is this the way to go? Because it looks like between ZiFA and PSL, none of them are able to come up with a plan or with the ideas or the strategy that is needed to get the game back. And perhaps the ideas may well have to come from outside those two institutions.
Yeah, Mike, it's quite interesting and quite surprising that we can actually find the Players Union calling for Indaba, as it were, because it's not supposed to be called at all, because it's supposed to happen automatically. It's the natural thing to do, that the Premier Soccer League and ZiFA, when we faced with this kind of situation, they were supposed to already sit and already discuss this. There was not supposed to be a call. Yes, the Players Union are doing the right thing because they can see that there's an impasse, there is nothing that is happening. That's why they're calling. But in a proper footballing functional country, there is no need for a call because it's a natural process. That's what was supposed to have been done already, because football is played by the clubs and ZiFM is the governing body, and we have the ministry. All these organs, they are supposed to have already set together and already map out a plan. And we talked about the relief fund. Probably people were sitting there hoping that COVID is just going to go away, and the money that we got, we're just going to chow it. And now they don't want to use the money. Now they're thinking probably some of them, the money used as well. We don't know. But I see a situation whereby we are having a miser attitude, whereby we're like, if we start playing now, we're going to spend so much. This is money that we can do something with, and we can actually. So they are a part of these footballing structures that don't want football to return. They don't want it because probably for me it's all about the money. They don't want it to return, but it has to, because Kenny Tebele has said it. They have done it before. They played their part. But the other part that we know, ZiFM probably don't want it. But how do we then play an international match when we don't have local matches playing? You say it yourself. We need a dress rehearsal for it. How are we just going to get into an Algeria match without having local football playing? We don't know. All we are hearing is ZiFM wants to buy a broadcasting van. They want to re-build stadiums. No, they must deal with the situation. Right now, we are dealing with a COVID issue and football to return. Let's not talk about a broadcasting van or a refurbishment of stadiums, whatever. We want to pay land to do the stadiums. No, we don't want to hear that now. We want football to return. That's what we need to hear. They need to sit to that ZiFM and PSL so that they can map the way forward.
Mapping the way forward, Barry, and this is a conversation that certainly needs to include the players. The players surely want to play. The players need to play for a variety of reasons. I mean, for me, Barry, it's just inconceivable that a professional sports person in whatever sport, whatever discipline, can spend more than 12 months out. And that is the prospect that many sports stars, especially footballers in Zimbabwe, are facing at the moment.
Yeah, and it's because I think in the footballing sense, since we're talking about football, it's mainly as a result of the lethargy of the Football Association, in the sense that Football Association up to now hasn't given any directive in terms of the contractual issues that relate to players. All they're saying is that they're going to consult with the Football Union of Zimbabwe. And in truth, that should have been given a long time ago, because you've already got 6 months. Let's say a player's on an annual contract, 1 year contract. He's already served half of his contract. In truth, any player who's devious out there can engage with another club and begin to have talks and have no issue come against him, because there's been no declaration made by the local football association. So it's a bit of a struggle. There's no direction. We need the direction coming from the FA.
The direction coming from the FA. It's not the PSL fighting for football to return. FAZ, the Football Union of Zimbabwe, fighting for a team huddle. Let's get together. Let's talk. Let's try and see what we can come up with for the game to return. Hopefully, this is something that we may see in the near future. But right now, I wouldn't blame the pessimists. I wouldn't blame the cynics that say that football is unlikely to return anytime at all in 2020. This is ZiFM Sport. Coming up, your local sports news roundup, cricket, table tennis, and organized games. We're giving you, of course, an update from the African Union Sports Council Region 5. And then we go international, where we talk white ball cricket. Owen Morgan, fantastic leader, fantastic batsman, fantastic result over the weekend.
Hi, my name is Sean Williams, Zimbabwe cricket captain. You're listening to ZiFM Sport. Z.
Let's give you a local sports news roundup, starting with cricket, where Sikandar Raza stood out with ball in hand for Trimbago Knight Riders when the Zimbabwean all-rounder collected 2 wickets in 1 over as his team defeated Barbados Tridents by 2 wickets at the Queen's Park Oval, Port of Spain, on Saturday to record a 6th straight win in the Caribbean Premier League. Raza, an off-spinner, only bowled a solitary over in his 3rd CPL appearance, and it was a fruitful one since he dismissed Kyle Myers as well as Corey Anderson while he conceded 11 runs. Well done to him. On to table tennis, where the Lyon Table Tennis Association concluded its virtual level 1 3-day coaching course during the weekend. After the course started on Wednesday, the course had a high number of participants with an enrollment of more than 200 coaches from around the country. BTTA chairperson Bibiana Nube said the course was meant to help equip coaches with the requisite skills to promote the sport in the country. Lots of B's in that story, albeit it was table tennis. We wrap up with organized games where an African Union Sports Council Region 5 is set to go for elections on the 27th of November to choose a secretariat. The elections are meant to usher in a new Region 5 secretariat, which will conduct business on behalf of the organization's executive committee for the next 4 years. The last elections were held in Namibia in 2016. The AUSC Region 5 comprises of Angola, Botswana, Eswatini, the Kingdom of Eswatini, the Kingdom of Lesotho, Malawi, Mozambique, Namibia, South Africa, Zambia, and of course, Zimbabwe.
Hi, this is Mike Madoda, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZFM. We are Z-Team on ZFM Sport.
Z. From the front of the grid to the back of the net, it's ZiFM Sport. International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play.
In the second half of the show, the Castle Lager World Football Report, news of 2 cup finals, and of course that exhilarating title race in South Africa, and a quick update of Lionel Messi. Will he stay or will he go? That is the question. But first, international sports news. Now, England white ball captain Owen Morgan feels he is batting better than ever after another scintillating innings in T20 international cricket. Morgan smashed 66 from just 33 balls at Emirates Old Trafford in England, beating Pakistan by 5 wickets to move 1-0 up in the 3-match series with 1 game to play at the same venue on Tuesday. The first match was rained out on Friday. Morgan is currently averaging 58 across his last 11 T20 internationals, with 5 50s in that time and a top score of 91 against New Zealand in Napier. Let's hear from him.
Yeah, I think that is fair, and it's sort of backed up with stats as well. The last couple of years have been the most productive of my whole career, which is great. If I can combine a little bit of that form with experience, hopefully I'll contribute to more wins. I think today was an outstanding game. Both sides really went at it. I think both bowling sides found it tougher today than probably the other day, and both batting sides played really well. So a good all-round game.
Z.
Let's give you the tale of the tape if it were boxing, but since it's cricket, let's give you the scorecard where Pakistan in their innings 195 for the loss of 4 wickets in their allotted 20 overs. Muhammad Hafiz with 69 off 36 balls. Baba 56 off 44 balls. And then England in response 199 for the loss of 5 wickets in 19.1 overs. Owen Morgan, of course, with that 63 off 33. Milan, 55 not out, unbeaten, carried his bat off 36 balls. That 55 was scored. And then Shadab taking 3 for 34. England won by 5 wickets to lead the series 1-0. And you need a man. Come at the hour, come at the man. Owen Morgan, man on form and delivering for England all the time, isn't he, Michael?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's always done the business, Barry, as a leader and as a batsman. If you take a look at classically in cricket, when teams have got a captain that's performing, especially with the bat, they do well. You take a look at Steve Waugh, he was always the leader, not just in terms of leading on the field of play in strategy, but also leading with the bat. Ricky Ponting did the same. Michael Clarke did the same. And those were the glory years for Australian cricket. You take a look at Virat Kohli recently with India as well. He bats well, invariably the team does well. And so we've seen the same thing with Owen Morgan, especially over the last 2 years. I think he's made over 1,600 runs in T20 International. He's made 3 centuries. He's averaging around 56. And that form, Barry, allows you to play very confidently. And Owen Morgan did exactly that yesterday. He came in after Pakistan had enjoyed a double strike, reduced both openers. And so it looked like Pakistan were getting themselves back into the game. But then he was just able to shut the game away from them together with Milan. I think they had a century partnership, and so that really laid the foundation, even though he wasn't able to see it to the end, but the damage had been done, and Milan was able to carry the team home when he of course finished on 55 not out. So Owen Morgan for me, Barry, still a display and getting the team across the line. That score there, 195, that was set by Pakistan. Very challenging total because the average at Old Trafford in T20 internationals is 153. A good score would have been 175. So 195 was an excellent score and should have been a winning total. But when you got guys like Owen Morgan who are able to come and take the game by the scruff of the neck, then you've got a good chance of winning games, especially these high chasing totals that are being set for them. So England doing very well right now in white ball cricket.
Mike, talking about the fact that listen, when you've got guys who can rescue the day like Owen Morgan did in this game, it very much puts into a sharp contrast the nature of cricket as a team sport, because you look at the performance of England with the ball, they were a little bit profligate with the ball, allowing Pakistan to get that 195, which Mike has quite rightly pointed out was a challenging total. But when you've got a get out of jail card like Owen Morgan, a man in form who's seeing it as big as a pumpkin, you've always got a chance, don't you, Chris?
So you always have a get out of jail free card, and this is the second time that England managed to get that chase over 190. The last one was to beat South Africa in February. And when you have that partnership, that leadership, and you get out of jail free card with Morgan, but also with Milan as well, when you have two players who can bring it home every single time, I think there's a degree of certainty there. And going further into their matches, they're going to be distinctly more confident because of that kind of a run chase that they managed to get.
Certainly, and they'll need to be confident because with Australia being next, Mike, shucks, they're going to have to be informed for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Australia, their arch rivals, Australia as well, who are on a high. I think they are well over the crisis that so engulfed Australian cricket 18 months ago. They're building for something special. And I thought Australia, the last World Cup, were pretty unlucky that having played the best cricket in the tournament, the one blip that they had was in the big semi-final that they played against England. And then they lost that semi-final. But there's a side who, when they bring it together, Barry, Australia is unbeatable. There's no side that can live with Australia. And so this is going to be a very interesting one because it's in English conditions. And so England have got that home ground advantage, as it were. But a lot of these Australian players have toured England several times before, so they are familiar with the conditions. And so it makes for a cracking encounter. England on a high, Barry. They are the world champions in the 50-over format, and they're playing really good cricket in T20 internationals. I think they've won the last 5 series, actually, in T20 internationals, and they could make it 6 if they beat Pakistan on Tuesday. So a side that's high on confidence versus an Australian side who are classically very arrogant and very confident in their methods and the way that they play the game. So this one is going to be a very, very good thing. And I'd just like to commend England, Barry. They've managed to get cricket going in their country.
Yes,
I mean, right now, they're the only side who's playing cricket, and lots of it. Would love to see cricket being played elsewhere across the world.
Yeah, it's almost as if England are sending out an invitation and keeping their schedule ticking along and inviting anyone who will come to come and play some cricket, because Australia will be playing 6 white ball games in England, and it begins with the first of 3 T20 internationals on Friday. The likes of Joss Butler, Jofra Archer, Mark Wood and Joe Root, who haven't played a single white ball cricket game in the summer, are likely to return for that series against Australia. They were given a bit of a rest, but when you've got that sort of quality that can come into the team, it should make, like Mike said, for a very interesting series.
Hi, this is Benjamin Locke. I'm on the Zimbabwe Davis Cup team, and you're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
We begin with news from Belgrade, where Novak Djokovic put his off-court distractions to one side to win a record-equaling 35th Masters title with victory over Milos Raonic at the Western and Southern Open. The world number one, who suffered with neck and stomach injuries during the course of the week leading up to the final, looked like he would allow things to get the better of him as Raonic steamed through the first set, but the Serbian came back to win 1-6, 6-3, 6-4 in New York. Djokovic will be in action later tonight as the US Open began at noon today. Great tennis player, but tone deaf and sexist, creating a men's association in 2020. In Illinois, John Rahm holed a sensational 66-foot putt for birdie at the first playoff hole to snatch victory over Justin Johnson in an engrossing conclusion to the BMW Championship. Johnson did at least cling to his world number one ranking by virtue of his solo runner-up finish, and it was a fitting tournament on the toughest course seen on the PGA Tour for many years was decided by a playoff between the two top-ranked players in the world. We touched down in Florida, where the LA Clippers advanced to the second round of the NBA playoffs after they eliminated the Dallas Mavericks. Kawhi Leonard scored 33 points as the Clippers won 111-97, securing a 4-2 series win. Meanwhile, Jamal Murray dropped 50 points as the Denver Nuggets forced a decider after a 119-107 win over the Utah Jazz, tied their series at 3-3 early this morning. Earlier, the Boston Celtics beat the Toronto Raptors in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference semi-final series.
The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport. The beating drum. The roaring fans. Take a ride on the wild side with the Africa Report on ZiFM Sport.
Well, with not much football happening here in Zimbabwe, in fact, with no football being played in Zimbabwe, all eyes are on Mzansi as we back our favorite teams south of the border. And Kaizer Chiefs have clung to first place in the ABSA Premiership despite a heartbreaking loss after closest rivals Mamelodi Sundowns suffered a stunning defeat to Baroka. A stoppage time goal from Cameroonian Bienvenu Ivanga gave Bidvest Wits a 1-0 victory over Chiefs at Soccer City Stadium in Soweto. The result opened the door for Sundowns to move to the top, but they blew the chance by falling 1-0 to lowly Baroka, with Namibian Ananias Eberhardt scoring in another Soweto stadium. Now, a dejected Ernst Middendorp said his side's result against Wits was a total disaster.
It's a disaster result. If you see the 90 minutes, the effort brought in by the players, by the team, and I don't know. Actually, of course, the headline will be again coaches in charge, but the number of possibility, and good, if it has to be, then it's my fault. It's my I take it, but I think the mentality of the players was very, very good. They really were fighting the full 98 minutes. The chances were there to make it 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, and of course that's a little bit of, I don't know how you call this, that you get caught in the end of the day through the center. That's of course it's something could face again. Not really acceptable, but we have to.
Alois Munjira, Middendorp critical of his side's finishing, and you can't say you blame the German coach at Kaizer Chiefs because his team did create the chances that they should have taken to win this game. I mean, one particular miss by Samir Nukovic, probably the miss of the season in all leagues around the world.
In all leagues around the world, yeah, I can agree with you, Mike. That was a serious miss, and for a team that is fighting for the championship, guys, at this critical moment in time, this is actually just before the finishing line. You can't be affording to miss such chances. You got to be ruthless. You need to drive your team to the championship. It has been a while, and I feel sorry for the coach. I feel sorry for the Kaizer Chiefs faithful. Their team they've reached a bad patch when it matters the most. Fortunately enough, that Sundowns are also letting them off the hook. They were 13 points adrift before we restarted, and now look at it now. They are level on points. Kaizer Chiefs by now could have wrapped up this championship if they just maintain some form of consistency, but they haven't. And like you said, you can't do anything. What can a coach do when you're creating the chances and the strikers are missing? Should we say that they are not training, shooting enough, finishing enough at training? I wouldn't know. But this is individual play. Players need to sharpen themselves and be ruthless in front of goal and make their team win. I feel sorry for the coach. I feel sorry for the fans. This was an opportunity. Now, it's still in their hands, yes, but I can actually see this one is going to be very dramatic at the end. Very dramatic.
Chris, character or tactics? Because, we've got to look at it and say, where has it gone wrong for Kaizer Chiefs? Is it the wrong tactical approach from the coach, or is it that the players are just bottling it now?
The players are absolutely bottling it. I think it was very obvious when you watch the match, especially yesterday, where chance after chance is there. The one you talked about with Nurkovic, where he's right under the net. Literally, that's where he was. And he could have, that wasn't easy. For goodness sake, I could have slotted that in. But he wasn't able to. And when you have a situation where players themselves are not coming to the party, Ernst Middendorf has tried pretty much everything. If you look at his response, in the last match when they were playing Mamelodi Sundowns, he responded. When he saw things weren't working in the first half, he came, switched things up, brought Karma off the bench. He's doing a lot of work, but the players are just not performing the way that they should be. If you take a look at Karma Billiet himself, all he's supposed to do is score goals, but Karma is just there or thereabouts, and he's not able to finish either. Some easy finishes as well, that header the last time. For me, it's just Ernst Middendorf is doing what he can, but these players are not coming to the party. And what's sad is that he might have to take the fall for some of these players if they don't manage to win the league.
And now this latest defeat leaving Chiefs with just a single win in 7 matches. But with those behind them also faltering, they remain top of the league on goal difference from Mamelodi Sundowns, who too suffered a shock loss to Baroka. Now, they had chances in the game, did Mamelodi Sundowns, but they were also left frustrated by what Pitso Mosimane believes were unsportsmanlike antics from Baroka, especially from Warriors goalkeeper Elvis Chibezeze, who did not even play in this game.
I thought Chibezeze was a master of sitting, of killing the game. But this one, I don't know his name. I think Baroka, they breed them, They breed these ones who don't allow the play to go. Yeah, Baroka players disrespected Madisha, which was not good. I mean, and most especially is the players who are on the bench, who are sitting there. You're disrespecting somebody who's playing whilst you are sitting in the cold there in the stands. I don't think it's good. It's bad. It's not a good thing to do, but it's okay. It's part of football. We don't have to focus more on that. That's not what made us not to score. We didn't score because we got the opportunities to score. We did not.
Barry Pitso Mosimane is clearly a very frustrated man because the scheduling in South Africa gave Mamelodi Sundowns a very clear advantage in terms of them knowing what they needed to do, because Kaizer Chiefs was playing before them. So Kaizer Chiefs loses their game to Bidvest Wits. Mamelodi Sundowns go into their game knowing that just a point will take them clear at the top of the log and give them control of the ABSA Premiership title race, but they fell to Baroka.
Yeah, and that's where Pitso Mosimane is, I think the comments about unsportsmanlike behavior is actually coming from. It's from frustration at being unable to then leapfrog Kaizer Chiefs, take advantage and get into the ascendancy, get that 3-point cushion and, see this out and coast to the end. That's where I believe the real frustration is coming from. Because in truth, if we're to believe what we saw images on TV, it was some trash talking from the Baroka bench, as you say, chiefly Elvis Chibezeze. And these two have had a run-in before, if you remember. I think it was last season where Elvis Chibezeze was accused of feigning injury and all sorts. So they know each other. And in truth, don't try and govern another dugout. Do what you need to do. Do your job. And in truth, don't deflect. And it looks like deflection to me.
Let me ask you this, Barry, that when you take a look at Chris talked about the fact that, listen, the Kaizer Chiefs players are failing to come to the party at a crucial time. And now when you take a look at Mamelodi Sundowns, they concede with 70 minutes of play and they fail to break down Baroka. Surely when you take a look at Sundowns, Pitso Mosimane got to take responsibility because his tactics failed to yield any meaningful goal-scoring chances in that period.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you compare the rosters of both teams, in truth, Pitso Mosimane is going to take it on the chin here, because he should have been able to break down Baroka with the quality that he had, both on the field and even on the bench. You got the likes of Langaman and whatnot available to come on. Vilakazi is on the field. You got all sorts, Yomezas, Sirinho. those players should be able to deliver for you if your tactics are right. So Peter Mosimane has got a case to answer, and in truth, this is all deflection, trying to say, oh, there was unsportsmanlike behavior. No, you couldn't get a result when you were supposed to. You better hope that Kaizer Chiefs is going to slip up again and give you another chance.
Alois, is Pizzo overthinking it? Barry talked about the players that he's got, your Mezas, your Zwanes, those are your Sirinos. Those are clever little players, attackers. But Pizzo has been playing without a central striker over the last few games, and in many games actually this season in the ABSA Premiership. Is he guilty of overthinking it? I mean, surely some of those chances that his team has been able to create, a proper striker, a proper number 9 will take those chances.
Yeah, it looks like he has just borrowed the page from Jose Mourinho. When you look at the way they are playing now, he is more concentrating more on defensive play than attacking play. The way he's setting up his team, he's actually jokingly saying it the other day that, I learned from the past, I'm now packing the bus also. He said it jokingly, but you can actually pick it up. Even in the last match, he actually packed the bus clearly that he was defending that not lead. So when you are a coach and you are not pragmatic, you have got the mission and you are not using it, then it's actually gonna be a problem. The other problem that I see at Sunday, so they don't have a serious match winner as we speak. I think this goes for Kaizer Chiefs. When you are at this stage of tournament, of this stage of this championship, you need somebody who can actually stand aloof and stand up and actually say, I am kingpin of the team, I am driving the team, somebody that the whole team can actually stand and say, he can deliver when chips are down. Everybody is in the same boat, same level. No one is actually leading up to actually steer the team to glory. Both teams, Kaizer Chiefs, Mamelodi Sundowns, they don't have a match winner. Yes, they don't have.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's interesting to see how this one will pan out. We don't have long to go because it will all be decided this week on a Wednesday. They play their penultimate matches and then it all comes to an end on a Saturday. We will know who will be crowned champions of the ABSA Premiership for the very last time, because from next season, that league will have a new sponsor.
All the rivalry.
Here is Harry Kane for Tottenham. Oh, what a goal! A classic derby goal from Harry Kane. Catch him if you can.
All the stars.
Oh, back here's Liverpool 2 in front. Talk about impudence. Talk about improvisation. Talk about Sadio Mane.
And all the game-changing moments.
And Raheem Sterling rattles it home. And once more, City are in front in a trice.
All the updates from the Premier League on ZiFM Sport.
Over to England now. Mikel Arteta claims his Arsenal side have no fear when playing against the Premier League's top teams after winning the Community Shield over Liverpool. The match had ended 1-1 in regulation time. Now, since Arteta was appointed, Arsenal have been impressive against the league's top sides, defeating Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City and Manchester United. That run of form is a great improvement on the Gunners' previous record against the top four, and the squad was often criticised for their mentality in those matches. Let's hear from Mikel Arteta.
You never get used to it. I'm so happy. I knew that challenge that we were facing today against these incredible opponents. David, for example, trained one day. Just before the final, he was able to play 90 minutes. So thank you very much to the player for the effort and the performance. Well, the courage of the team, how aggressive we were without the ball, how well we make the decisions to break the pressure of Liverpool and put some issues against them in the back line that they have. And I am pleased that in the second half I knew we were going to suffer. We don't have the legs. They've been training for 2 weeks. But we sustained that in the penalties. I think the boys, again, had a lot of courage to put them right.
Congratulations to Arsenal and Mikel Arteta. But you got to say, Chris, apart from Arteta, the other A in the Arsenal armory, as it were, is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and those two are certainly proving like a match made in heaven.
Absolutely. I think when it comes to Arsenal, Aubameyang shows up every single match and he's absolutely incredible. And I think Mikel Arteta has seen that he can possibly build this Arsenal side around him. And it's looking like the project that he's building is going in a very positive direction. It wasn't a walkover for them, but they were able to hold their own in that match and get that solitary goal. Eventually, Liverpool equalized. But I think what you can see from that match is that Mikel Arteta has managed to get this team together, and anything he does from now is a simple upgrade, and especially just building that team around Aubameyang, he's made an absolute winner there.
Earlier, Alois, you were talking about lacking a match winner for the South African side, Sundowns and Kaizer Chiefs. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, albeit that they didn't necessarily win this match, they went to penalties, but scoring that opener and then scoring that final spot kick to win the Community Shield. You've got to say, if you're looking for a match winner for Arsenal, that's one.
Yeah, of course, Barry. Every team, when you want to win things, you need a winner. And Pierre Aubameyang is proving that he is actually a match winner for Arsenal. He has been doing it throughout the season. Even in matches that they have lost, he would have scored in a losing cause. He has been fantastic for Arsenal. When you look at it, I think Arsenal, they don't need to wait for Pierre Aubameyang to actually come and say, please, they must do the honorable thing and just make sure that they just give him what the other top players in England are doing. They don't have to wait for him to come for it. He has proved himself and he has said he wants to stay. So do the honorable thing and do it for him. He is such a great player, and I think with him and Arsenal going into next year with Willian as well, they've got a very, very good going forward.
Vanquished courtesy of a penalty shootout, Mike. In truth, Liverpool can hold their heads high. You got to think to yourself, the team, at least when Nico Williams was on, lacked a bit of balance, and hopefully the management, the technical team can see that.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought Nico Williams, in the 3 games that Liverpool has played in pre-season, I think he's been somewhat short of the quality that is needed to play in that position. And Liverpool badly needed Trent Alexander-Arnold in that game. It's a game they could have won without Trent, in truth, or Jordan Henderson or any of the players that were missing. I would have been worried if I was a Liverpool fan. Last season Liverpool lost this particular fixture to Manchester City in the same circumstances as well. 1-1 draw leading to penalties, losing 5-4. But it's a good indicator as to where you are. And with 2 weeks before the start of the season, I think it gives the coach and the technical department of Liverpool enough time to work on the areas. When I take a look at Liverpool, Barry, I think it's fairly obvious that in games where you're playing against a team like Arsenal that employed a very low block, you then need a bit of creativity in midfield. Someone who's got the guile, someone who's got the imagination to be able to pick a pass that is not too predictable. And Liverpool lacked that in midfield until maybe Naby Keita came onto the field of play. So I think this is going to add even more pressure on the club, perhaps to bring Thiago Alcantara to join the ranks, because he's that sort of player who's able to link things in midfield and attack from central areas. Arsenal defended very well, and for Liverpool and Klopp, the headache that he needs to overcome is how do we break down teams that are defensively minded, because that's what Arsenal was. If you take a look at the possession stakes, I think Liverpool had 65% possession, Arsenal 35%. Liverpool created more of the chances in terms of attack, 138 compared to just 68 chances created by Arsenal. So you're taking a look at those statistics and realize that Jurgen Klopp has got a job to do, but that job is around how do we break teams down.
And breaking them down might mean the introduction, or at least the signing of the little Spanish wizard, Thiago Alcantara. Hopefully that deal can be done. With the growth of the women's game, it's great to report on the Women's Community Shield, which is also this past weekend. Now Chelsea fired a warning to the rest of the Women's Super League with a comfortable 2-0 victory over Manchester City. Millie Bright fired in a 30-yard stunner on 66 minutes to put Chelsea ahead before Erin Cuthbert made sure of the victory in the first minute of stoppage time. Congratulations to the Blues.
Hi, my name is Rudoni Shamba, Maitoria's super striker. You're listening to ZiFM Sport.
UEFA Women's Champions League final last night, and Lyon won a record-extending 7th Women's Champions League title, beating Wolfsburg 3-1 in the final. Eugénie Le Sommer put the French side ahead in the 25th minute before Saki Kumagai added the second just before halftime, as Wolfsburg failed to have a shot on target in the opening period. Alexandra Popp netted after the break to ask some questions of Lyon, but Sarah Bjork Gunnarsdottir secured the victory with a late third as they lifted the Champions League trophy for a 5th successive season. Lyon fullback Lucy Bronze believes their 5 titles in a row will not be replicated.
And it's special every single time you make the final. It's special, and to win another one, I think what makes this one the most special is 5 in a row, and I can't see any club and any women's team ever being able to kind of accomplish that achievement ever again. It's a phenomenal achievement that the club's done, and yeah, I think that's what makes this one the most special. It's hard to get to the final every year, let alone win it every time, so I think for that it's very, very much special.
So that match last night, Barry, if you take a look at the two teams, Lyon absolutely dominant, and this was a sort of mismatch.
Yeah, it ended up being a mismatch, barring about 20 minutes in the second half. And also, I think, look, Wolfsburg themselves got their tactics slightly wrong. I think they ill-conceived the overload that would happen on the right flank, where you had what's her name, Lucy Bronze behind Delphine Cascarino, and that flank created all of the 2 goals that were scored in the initial instance, and many other chances were created down that flank. And I think the response to that was a bit slow. When they did and started getting onto the front foot is when they had that 20 minutes of dominance. But I think the bench boost, in inverted commas, that Lyon still had then showed that gulf in class and quality. So it was just a case of how many, more so than if Lyon would win another Champions League title.
Mike, 5 successive European titles. The only team to ever do this was Real Madrid in the 1950s. If you just take a look at Lyon at the moment, you take a look at the squad, those players, they were playing without some of their best players, Ada Hegerberg, Nikita Paris, not in that match last night. It looks like Lyon is going to be dominant for some time.
Yeah, absolutely dominant performance. I mean, the great Real Madrid side with the likes of Alfredo Di Stefano, they managed to do that. And so Lyon is actually walking alone in world football in terms of their achievements. You know, it's very difficult to win it 5 in a row in the manner that they have done. Because if you take a look at even some of the best sides in the men's game, your Ajax, they won it 3 times in a row. Bayern Munich also did it 3 times in a row with the likes of Gerd Müller in the 70s. I think recently Real Madrid has done it 3 times in a row. So it's a very difficult achievement, and it's credit to the structures and the system that has been set up by Lyon. They're a very attractive side, a side that the best talent in the world wants to play for. That's why you see that they've become increasingly a very cosmopolitan side. And it's difficult to see anyone stopping them. You know, there's some really good sides. I think PSG locally in France is a side that can push them with the investment and the money they have. Then you've got Bayern Munich in Germany, Barcelona as well, coming along in leaps and bounds. But Lyon remain the side to beat.
That's 5 wins on the spin for Lyon. We wait to see what happens next. But for now, we do know this is one team to look out for.
Okay, we're out of time, but before we go, quick update on Lionel Messi. Now, Juventus reportedly made a discreet approach to Jorge Messi, the father of Barcelona superstar Lionel Messi, to discuss the possibility of a blockbuster transfer that could link up Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. James Whaling of the Daily Mirror reported Saturday that the Bianconeri are the latest club to join a star-studded race for the Argentine captain's services. It also features Man City, PSG, and Inter Milan. Come on, give us what we want to see. Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo and Dybala. My goodness, that's a Juventus side everybody will want to see. However, La Liga saying you have to pay. More on that on tomorrow's show, so don't miss the show. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manande, out.
And it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
The biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.